Jacqueline, you talked about having that transparency with option impact and assuring them that they're getting fair market wages. David, you just talked about making sure the candidate experience was good. And then Nolan, you touched on Tony literally like shaking your hand and talking to you personally. So can I get your guys' POV about good candidate experience and what it means to you? Because I think that could really hit or miss on the building of a company.
It's another advantage of early stage is your ability to be really transparent and also move candidates quickly through the process. If you go now, for candidates who are, and who knows now, because a lot of big companies also have hiring freezes, but they can take a while, like, full month or 6 weeks to get through a process. And it feels like you're talking to a lot of people and you don't really know how you're doing. As an early stage company, like you can sync up internally and provide that feedback really quick. So we're fairly transparent around like equity in terms of what percentage of the company this represents, where we got the data from in terms of option impact, and like anchoring to that in the percentile. We also share what the valuation at our latest round was, and so they know what the like strike price would be. And then we have like a very simple calculator for like showing, different scenarios. This is how exactly it would work. I think candidates really appreciate that. And that, again, that level of transparency they might not be able to get at other companies. And then similar for feedback, I think you obviously want to get like good signal from the candidate, but you don't want to belabor the process. So having 4 or 5 steps and not frankly more than that, and being transparent with the candidate along the way, like, hey, this is why we're doing this step, this is what we're trying to get after, here's some feedback. I think people really appreciate that, and that will, and that will give them a much better idea of what it would be like, frankly, to work with you all on a more on a longer term basis anyway. And I think people really appreciate that.
Just to build on that, in terms of feedback, one thing we do is when you hire a new person, during the onboarding, we do a sort of retrospective teardown of what was their interview experience and see if there's ways that we can improve it based on their own experience that they had. And if you do that, like a few times and get that kind of feedback loop spinning, you'll identify areas where you can kind of tighten things up. The other one I'll mention quickly is there's a great candidate experience platform called guide.co. Troy Sultan's the founder of that. And they're really great at providing this sort of portal for the candidate to know where they're at in the process and other information.
Yeah, just one last thing is I really do think it's important that you represent what it's actually like to work at the company during the interview process. And so instead of trying to make it roses and rainbows, you should make it actually how it is every single day. And the candidate should have as clear of a picture before they join the company, because otherwise, if you're selling something that actually isn't reality, it's a mess for both sides. And then last thing on feedback, one of the things that we like to do is towards the end of the process, before we extend an offer, we always share interview feedback with the candidate. So here's what we loved, and then here's constructive feedback for you on your interviews. And I love the constructive feedback piece because we care deeply about giving feedback, and I want to see how they respond to it. And so before we actually extend an offer, like delivering constructive feedback to somebody and then listening to how they respond and either take it well or not gives us further signal on if we want to extend an offer.